what are some of the things that we look for when we do try it? So this is 14 years of me realizing I should have asked a question. I should have asked certain things before hiring someone, because it would have been much more likely they would have been successful if at the gate I determined things. So the reason I think our turnover is under 4% for full-time staff is probably because we sniff it out early. One of them is, how much availability do you have after school? Because everyone knows, and just for you guys to know, that in order for people to start with our company, we almost always start them part-time, and they have to show us they're willing to work after school. So when someone says, I need an 8 to 3 job, and they're not flexible to travel around after 3, we never hire them. So I just want you to know that if you're going to recommend someone to the company, find that out. Are you willing to bounce around and work in homes in unpredictable, turbulent schedules at first? Over all the years, I found a common theme that we fail with when we hire people that only want to be part-time, and it's because it's a side hustle. So in other words, they're a school psychologist during the day, and they really are not that bought into behavior analysis. They just want a couple extra dollars, and they're working a couple hours after school. They're usually not bought into behavior analysis and making a career out of it. So they're also less likely to turn their timesheet in, graphs, the most important things that run our company. So if you know someone's not really all in, then we usually don't want to hire them. What our company tries to do is find the strengths and, like we always say, gel together play to someone's strength. And someone might be very detail oriented, someone may not be, but they're great socially. So, try to blend that together. Then, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we have a cognitive test that people take prior to coming in the door. And the females score higher on that a lot too. It's interesting, and it's very objective. It's just like computation, like math, understanding words, and then like problem solving, and it scores from 0 to 100. So we have found that, again, it's just correlational, but people that do very well, that score close to the 100 on the higher end, are pretty good at problem solving, and they're a little bit better at being autonomous. People that score like 9 out of 100, there's some challenges, I think, sometimes. So I wanted you to know about that. These are all things we didn't used to do. So that bar is really raised. What their niche might be, or what are they interested in when it comes, what did they find out of the 100 and some videos that seemed interesting to them? Is it a good match culturally for what they picked and how they responded? And then secondly, whether or not they're detail oriented and whether they can follow directions. Chelsea does a phone interview, and she just listens to their how articulate they are on the phone. And sometimes they're not very nice. They're very short with her, and they're like, "Is this almost over?" Like that kind of thing. And then she says, "This is the first step," and they're like, then they change.
It's really important to determine in a job where you're going to be dealing with such a variety of stakeholders.
Yeah, you're going to go to a school district. You're going to see the receptionist up front. You're not going to be an asshole to them, and then think that's not going to get back to the superintendent. It's amazing because I don't give a fuck if you're like, B.F. Skinner, but if you're an asshole, you're not going to change behavior. Maybe with a rat.
With you, no one wants to take your advice. No one wants to be told what you have to say. You're surprised how far a smile goes, or how far a little concession can go, if it's about manners and things like that.
I think especially being a consultant, when you remember details about people in the school, like when you really get to know them, you're like, oh, like how's Johnny doing? And like, they're like, oh, like, yeah. Or you remember like a detail, like, oh, this weekend they're having a party, and you're like, oh, how'd that party go?
It goes a long way.
You see the light bulb, like, wow, they really care.
Yeah. Knowing a little bit about their kids. If they have an interest in their child's in gymnastics or whatever, and they talk about it without probing on the first time you meet someone. What do you do? Like, what do your kids do? How many do you have?
What's their birthdays?
I'm bringing 4 dozen donuts tomorrow because the guys have been so helpful with like my kid and like giving his appropriate high fives. I'm gonna say like, this is Jim I work with. so-and-so, like, thank you all for giving appropriate high fives when he's asking appropriately. And I was like... And
you're giving real descriptive praise to him.
And do not hesitate to ask me. That's the only reason I'm doing this, because I thought of a pun, so I was like,
I have to deliver this appropriately.
Do not hesitate.
Yeah.
That's like I
Oh my
was.
goodness, I'm so using that.
You're about to be paired with breakfast reinforcement.
Oh, yes.
Big deal.
Things for you to know when you're going to recommend someone. Find out if someone's career goal. If you can find out, we ask them, what's your goal in 10 years? And when they say a licensed social worker, nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's cool. It's a noble profession, but that's not the direction we're going to go. And their time will be spent getting their licensure hours. Or if someone has a degree, it's preferred, because we often, certain funding sources, we have to bill a very low rate. We actually pay our staff as much or more than the billable rate. So the bachelor's degree for the CA, it's not essential, but it helps for the margin. We ask, would you like a low salary, a low steady salary, or hourly pay for performance with high opportunity for earning? Now, yeah, most people really, a lot of times they pick the low salary, but we want to, that one question gives us a little indication, because you know how we are here. We want to pay people for hard work, and the last thing we want to do is make sure that if Christian's being lazy but Jasmine's kicking ass, Christian's making the same much as Jasmine. People that do want to enroll in a BCBA program is highly preferred. Not necessary, but preferred. I'll tell you what's not preferred to me over all the years. Again, it's not just my opinion, it's historically whether they worked out well or not. People that have a master's degree and it's not in behavior analysis, it's like they have a master's degree in counseling, or something, in school administration, they generally demand a high pay rate and they don't deserve it. And it's just because I don't care if they're an RBT, I would rather pay the RBT with a high school diploma more than the master's degree person who doesn't know about ABA. So just know that if someone has, people with master's degrees that are not taking ABA track, they generally come in entitled. Like, I have this master's degree, it's worthless because there's nothing they can do with it. They're not licensed as an LPC or whatever, and they have student loans that were going to garnish their wages.
I'll never forget, it was me, Brett, and Matt. We were going through one interview process, and we had about 4 or 5 people, and we always tell them that they're not in competition with one another, because they're really not. It's because we hire pretty much constantly at this point. And I had one person on my left who had a high school diploma or an associate's degree, I can't remember which, and the person on my right who had a master's degree. And the person who had the master's degree spoke in a way where they were more entitled. And they were both going for clinical associates positions. And all I'm thinking about when this person was speaking is, I do not want to work with this person. And if you get that feeling right from the get-go, you're like, you know what, it's not going to work out here. The person with the high school diploma, the associate's degree, she was badass as shit. I'm not going to say her name because then it'll reveal her level, but we hired her. And I even pulled her to the side afterwards and said, like, tell me about some of those behaviors. She's like, yeah, I got bit yesterday. It was kind of fun. Like, you know what I mean?
Rub dirt on it, kept going.
And so, a lot of people think that, I come in with this higher level degree and everything, and I always tell people, I have a master's degree in complex common sense. Like, our field isn't, we just put big names on things people live out every day. We can train anyone. So the person who might necessarily have the degree, it doesn't matter. If you're driven in this field, you have a passion for it, and you want to learn more, I'll work, and you're cool as shit, and like getting bit from kids, you know what I mean? Like, I'll work with you. And that was literally, all 3 of us had the same sentiment. There's no way I'm hiring Miss Master's degree.
It doesn't mean because they have a master's degree and it's not ABA related that they can't be good, because some of them, it's just their history of events. They may have gone through 3 or 4 jobs being a para in a school at $11 an hour with their master's degree, realizing their master's in communication was bullshit. You know what I mean? But then they start coming back and realizing they want to do something like engineering or something. There's always outliers, but these are like common historical red flags that I've later gone back and done analyses and realized that it didn't work out, you know, and that's why we keep honing our screening mechanism to make sure that we bring people in that are going to be motivated with under your leadership.